Hello friends, welcome. Friends, as I mentioned yesterday, one of the videos which I recorded late evening, that today I am going to do a series of video and I will capture the various dimensions of the budget. Now, as you know, that the budget has got two main components. One is the portion of income, another is the expenditure. So if you go to the document budget at glance, which we saw yesterday, you will see that there is a section which is receipt, right? Both revenue and capital receipt. And then we have the section of expenditure. So in this video, I am going to focus on this particular section, which is expenditure, because focusing on expenditure will give us key insight as to what the focus of the government is, in which schemes, which ministry the government is focusing their energy, and what has been the past trend from the point of view of allocation and actual spend. Because if you don't see the past trend, then you will not be able to make out that whether the government is really serious about their allocation and they are making the spend. That is where the main story is. So friends, what I have done is I have gone through this document. Now, it is very difficult because this is a document which kind of highlights everything on expenditure for the budget of FY26. And it has got so many ministries that it is impossible for you to go through each and every ministry in detail. So what I have done is that I have captured the high level of all the ministries as to what their spend has been in terms of capital and in terms of revenue. And then in the later part of the series of video, I will go specific to some of the important ministry which is of interest to me, like Ministry of IT and Communication, Ministry of Electronic and IT, and Ministry of Communication. We'll look into deeper later. And then in one of the video, I am going to cover Production Link Initiative, what the government has been, so how much the government has been spending, and what the allocation for this financial year is for the various ministries. Okay, so let's deep dive into the details. Now friends, what I have done is I have uploaded this chart in my website. This chart, the advantage of this chart is that it not only contains the data of the budget, which is right there on the table, this document which I showed you, this document, it also contains all the past data of the previous years. because otherwise the trend becomes extremely difficult to unlock. Because if you look at this particular document right in front of you, it has only the actual of FY24, the budget of FY25, the revise of FY25, and the budget of 26. It does not give you the full trend. So let's look at this chart which has the data from FY18 till FY26, so that it gives you a very, very good overview as to what the trends are. Now, let's first look at actual numbers. Actual number means from the point of view of budgetary estimate in rupees lakh crores. Now, if you look at this chart, I have chosen the yearly time scale, right? So this is where the controls are. In all my, dashboards, which you see in my website, which you will see in my website, the controls will be somewhere here, right? The title is here, and then the dashboard is down below, right? Now here what I have done is that since there are multiple ministries, it is very difficult to capture each and every ministry in one single page. So I have a control where you can basically move this and your page numbers, your page is going to flip and new sets of ministries are going to appear in the dashboard. Like that you can go on, switching and going in the, go on changing the starting rank, and the basis of which the page is going to change. So let's focus on first the budgetary estimate in rupees lakh crores. Now, if you look at this document, which is the budget at a glance, you will notice that the total expenditure, right, for the financial year 2025-26 is 50.65 lakh crores, right, which is the budgetary estimate, and the previous year revised estimate was for 47.16 lakh crores, right? So let's look at whether the numbers are matching or not. See, 50.65 lakh crores, 47.16 lakh crores, and FY24 the number is 44.8 898 lakh crores. Now these are numbers at the end of the year, by the way. Only exception is this number, which is the starting of the year. Because if I take a quarter view, you will notice that the numbers have changed over a particular period, financial year. Like for example, if you see FY24, you'll see the numbers were initially 45.029 lakh crores, and then suddenly it went dropped in the last quarter, which is starting from 1st of January till 31st of March. You'll see the trend in all the financial year, right? Except for some financial year where the number has increased, right? Like if you see here, the financial year FY25, the number has decreased, right? And then it has bumped up to 50.65 lakh crore. So let's go again on the yearly time scale so as to get a feeling as to where we are on various line items. And I have chosen both revenue as well as capital, because the expenditure is broken down into two dimensions, revenue as well as capital. So I have chosen both. Now if you combine the spend of revenue and capital together, you will see that this dashboard is sorted on the last column, which is budgetary estimate of FY26. You will see that the interest payments, it ranks first. It is how much it is? 12.73 lakh crores from the total spend of 50.65 lakh crore, which is very, very significant. So we are making huge amount of interest payments, so we need to be mindful about that, right? Then there is transfer of states, and transfer of states are for various development work or any kind of government allocations and grants which the government of India, central government, gives to the state, which is the second line item, which is of 3.28 lakh crores. And then we have defense services revenue, because defense services has two, one is capital and another is revenue. It is 3.117 lakh crores. Then we have roads and highways, which is 2.873 lakh crores. And then we have railways, 2.554 lakh crores. And then foods and public distribution, 2.11 lakh crores. Rural development, 1.878 lakh crores. Capital outlay for defense services, which I told you there are two different segments, 1.8 lakh crores. Defense pension, 1.6 lakh crores. And police, 1. Now, reading this number does not make any sense, because you will not be able to get any idea as to what is going on. So take the reference of budgetary estimate, right? Take the reference of percentage to GDP or budgetary estimate, because that is going to give us a reference as to what is going on as regard the spend, because absolute number does not tell the story. Now, if you look at it, you will find very interesting, right? The total, expenditure on a reference of, GDP has remained static till FY 2020, and then because of COVID, it suddenly shot up, and now the government is trying its hard to bring it to the level what it was in FY 20. You see this? This is a very healthy trend. I agree with this, because this was a distortion, and because of this distortion, we have to bring our expenditure back to the level what it was in FY20, and we are in the process of doing that. We are in the path of doing that. Now, when we look at this expenditure conservation that we are doing, it is also important to understand that which segment the expenditure is getting optimized. Because depending upon which segment the expenditure is getting optimized, our future growth is going to get closely linked to that. Because there are two segments of expenditure. One is capital and one is revenue. Now, if you are going to keep on increasing your revenue expenditure and capital expenditure, if you decrease, then your GDP growth is going to get affected, because the overall value that is going to get generated for a long period of time is highly dependent upon the capex expenditure that you make. So let's look at those numbers before that, looking at the individual segment number of capital and revenue. Let's look at the combined number and see how it stands. So for example, if you see interest payment, we have somehow able to contain within 3.5% of the GDP, but it is little out of control, because we are not yet at par with close to par with what we were in FY20. FY20, the number was 3.1% of GDP. So this is a very negative factor in our budget, that our interest payments are going out of control because of rise of interest rates and inflation. Because our interest rates are not getting contained because of inflation. We are not able to pull down the interest rates, and therefore we are not able to contain this. This is a very, very item of concern. Now, transfer to state, the numbers are getting closer to what we have in FY20, right? Defense revenue expenditure, yes, we have been able to contain it. Very good. Roads and highways, now this is a capital expenditure. So let's do this. Otherwise, we will not be able to get a good idea. So let's break it down into revenue and capital, because that is going to give us a very good idea where we stand. Now, from a revenue expenditure point of view, we have done fantastic. Look at this. This number is 11.06% of the GDP, and we are lower than what we saw were before the start of COVID, which is FY20. So fantastic. From a revenue point of view, the government has really done a fantastic work, and it is reducing the curve, and we have now at the level what we were in FY20. Interest payment, as I already told you, we are nowhere close to what we were in FY20, and this is a matter of concern. This is really a matter of concern, this item. You have to somehow bring that. That's why you keep on hearing the government of India keeps on fighting with RBI that interest rates have to go down, It is not just about triggering the economy and making the loans cheaper. It is one of the major item is this, because this is a very, very large, component of the total budgetary expenditure, which is 3.579% of the GDP. It is very, very large. So defense service revenue, we are doing very well. Food and public distribution, we were at par with we are almost at par with what we were in FY20. Rural development, we are lower. So this is a matter of concern. Rural development actually has to go up, but we are going down, right, as a percent of GDP, which is not very good. Sorry for that. So it has to be. Defense pension, we are doing great. Transfer to state, the numbers have gone below what we were in FY20. And then fertilizer, almost at par, still not there. Police, yes, we have gone down. Revenue, this is basically various kind of revenue expenditure part, it comes under the bucket of Ministry of Finance. You see that this is number is below what we were in FY20. Agriculture and farmer welfare, we have gone. So this is again the matter of concern from a revenue point of view, because we are going down and we have to keep on increasing the spend as a percent of GDP. So let's look at the next page, and because there are so many ministries, we will not be able to cover everything, and you can have a live access to this chart. Go and subscribe to my website, and you will be able to get this access to this chart, right? So you can basically go and deep dive and look into various aspects: health and family, pension, and then drinking water, and then education. See, education is a matter of concern, right? If you look at higher education, we are going down, right, as a percent of GDP, matter of concern, right? And then DOT anyway, it's a more of a notional thing. We should be going down because there is nothing happening on BSNL. All the money is getting wasted, if you ask me. But really, it's a matter of concern. I'm not saying that, we should not be reviving BSNL, but it is not an efficient spend. I have been saying this from the beginning. So there are multiple pages. Let's forget about that. Let's come to the page number 1 and let's look at CapEx expenditure, because CapEx expenditure is a very important part of the story. Now, if you see this, the capital expenditure part, we are doing great. But there is a concern here that FY26 capital expenditure as a percent of GDP is not significantly higher than what we entailed, because there is a slight dip. Right? If you look at this as a percent of GDP from FY24, the number has gone down from a percent of GDP point of view. For FY25, 3.14%, and FY26, the number is not very high. So capital expenditure is not going up as a percent of GDP. It's a matter of concern. So where are the dip? The road and highway. See, it's going down. Right? Railways, it's again going down as a percent of GDP. Right? Capital outlay of defense services, it is going down, right? Transfer to state actually is going up, but not at a very significant level. DOT, anyway, it's notional, and number is going down, right? Economic affairs, yes, the number has gone up. Our housing and urban affairs, actually kind of stable. Science and here it is very important. There is a huge rise because of AI. Right? Science and technology, there has been a significant allocation in science and technology. Police, the number has gone up. Civil defense, the number is kind of stable. Let's go to the next page and see what is going on there as far as capex is concerned. Atomic energy, the number is going down. Petroleum, natural gas, it has gone suddenly up. Space, the number is going down. DIPT, suddenly it has shot up. These are very, very minor numbers, so we should basically neglect it, right? So that's the situation as per. See why I did budgetary estimate, because the budgetary estimate actually is a reflection of the actual spend that we are doing, because it is getting revised in the last quarter. So let's look at that, how it is getting revised in the last quarter, and we will do actual budgetary estimate on rupees lakh crore. You can clearly see that how the budgetary estimate numbers are changing. So I have taken the full all the two categories, capital and revenue, and you can see that as I told you in the beginning itself, the budgetary estimate numbers keep on changing, and we have seen a revision of budgetary estimate number in FY 25 Q4 because we have not been able to spend the amount of money which is 48.205 lakh crores. Now it has been dropped down to 47.16 lakh crores. Interest payment actually has increased. You see, interest payment has increased in absolute term, both in percent of GDP and absolute term. Transport to state has increased in absolute term, 3.28 lakh crores. And then we have got defense revenue is increased in absolute term. Roads and highways, see, static. That's why it has gone in a percent of GDP terms, right? Railway, absolutely flat, right? Then we have food and public distribution. The COVID days, it has gone up. Then it is going down. Rural development, static, right? Capital outer defense services, static. Defense pension, it is going up. Police, it is going up, right? Slightly. So if you look at, the overall story is let's do the capital also. We have done both capital and revenue together. You will see that the capital part also tells a similar story, because I have just extracted the capital portion out of the total and we are looking at the budgetary estimate in absolute terms. You can see it's all flat. Capital outward defense service has gone up. The absolute return transfer is flat. DOT, anyway, we have to ignore. Economic affairs is going down. So the story in this budget is that our spend, as far as capital expenditure is concerned, has not moved the needle up. We are not doing well as far as capital expenditure is concerned. That is definitely a matter of great concern for all the citizens of our country, because our GDP has gone down, the projection of GDP has gone down, and I really don't know how the country's GDP is going to go at the level of 8% perpetual for next 10 years. So that India can become a developed nation. How can we do that? I have no clue, because if your public expenditure is not getting increased, if there are no public expenditure happening, right, which is a very large component of our GDP spend, and the government's expenditure is also getting stagnated, GDP growth is really a matter of concern. I really don't know what the government is thinking, but this is the story right in front of you. You can have the access to this chart and you can go into detail in all the ministries which are listed here. I have captured everything here, everything on a summary point of view, not the detailed breakdown. So hope that you have liked this video. Let me know, and I will paste a link of this this link in the description so that you can access this chart. Thank you very much for your time. I'll come back with a new video next time. Thank you very much.